Hello everybody, thank you so much for joining me on this New Year's Eve. I'm assuming there's a whole bunch of people who might not be able to join today, especially if you're in Europe or further down the line where it might already be 2015. Here in America it's still 2014, and thank you so much for stopping by and watching my level retrospective. Really excited about today actually, because today we're getting to what probably are my favorite Doom levels. All the levels I made for Memento Mori 2. Before we get to that, I just wanted to point out a couple of things that have come up over the stream. One of them, maybe even the most important one of them, is a link to my GDC talk. So I've referenced this every so often as I'm talking about Doom and the levels, and I'm talking about differentiation and prioritization of the enemies. So if you would actually like to read up all of the background of this, you should go, well, you actually have two different options. You can either go right here to the GDC Vault webpage, where my talk is actually free right now. Usually you have to pay for a whole bunch of the content that is presented at GDC, but not this one. So if you go to the GDC Vault and you go to gdcvault.com/play/1020570/level-design-in-a-day, and I'm just spelling this out in case somebody cannot read it on the stream. It should be high resolution enough, but in case it is not, you can actually see a video recording of the talk that I gave at GDC, and it talks about all of the details that I'm only touching on right here. If you don't want to do that, you might also just want to go and read my talk, and it looks like this. In fact, let's go up here. So it's a PDF. It has all of the annotations. It talks about everything that I'm mentioning here pretty much exactly the same way as the video does as well. So if you want to read this, that is, I think, a great option for you. And as you're going through here, it talks about a whole bunch of the underlying psychology, the physiology of how brains make decisions and so on. So that would be a really good way to figure out what I'm talking about here. And then as you're going through, you're going to find tons and tons of Doom slides, because I'm using Doom as the specific example of what prioritization choice and what meaningful choice in games actually means. So this would be a really good way for you to follow along as well. Now if you want to download these slides, you might want to know the download link, and the easiest way for you to do that is just follow me on Twitter. So my Twitter handle is very simple. It's MWORCH, MWORCH, as you might be able to see just here, and I tweeted the link just a few minutes ago. So as you see right here, you could just download these slides. It's a PDF file. It's about 60 megabytes, and that will give you tons and tons of detail. So either one might be really good reading material for you if you want to figure out a little bit more how games actually work at a deeper level and why they work. With all of that said, let's get to why we're really here, and let's play Doom 2, and specifically let's play Memento Mori 2. So I looked at it just a little bit yesterday at the end of my stream, where I looked at the actual info pack that came with Memento Mori 2. I don't want to go into that again. You can catch that on the old stream, but just going into Notepad again, this is what the README looked like, right? It came out on 27th July in 1996. It was the follow-up to Memento Mori, which was one of the most successful megaWADs that were out at that point. 32 complete levels, complete level replacement for Doom 2, all playable in co-op. Memento Mori 2 was pretty much the follow-up. It was widely anticipated. It brought together a lot of the best level designers at that point, and it had a backstory written by Alden Bates, which you should just download. If you search for Memento Mori 2 Doom, you can still find download links all over the place. It's one of the most widely disseminated Doom mods which are out there. And then as we're looking at the mission briefings, well, you can see, 32 levels obviously. Dennis did the first level. There's a little bit of a story behind that. It was a very late replacement actually. Sector 2 was David Davison, and Sector 3 was the first level that I actually worked on. It's called And Hell Beneath. And that's the first level we're actually going to look at. I ended up making 4 levels for this, and I'll talk about them in detail. The next level that I actually worked on in Memento Mori would be level 10, called Clear for Death. Then I did make level 14. I made this with Thomas Möller, who was Worf or Worfelak of the Innocent crew, and this was a us working together. In a way, it was a lot of fun. So that's the third level we'll play. And finally, I made level 18, called Regulate, and we'll get to that in just a second. So I would say let's just start up Doom. And I actually want to start up Doom from scratch today, so we see the title screen and everything, we hear the music. So let's make sure Doom is running here. Yes, it is. And let's go into ZDoom. Alrighty. So this is what Memento Mori 2 looks like when you actually load it up. We replaced the title screen. There's a special credits screen. You can see everybody who worked on this. Most of this was done by the Innocent crew. It was Dennis and Worf, Dennis and Thomas, who Worf made all of the graphics. Dennis did a lot of the moderation, as well as programmed the info pack, for example. What you see here as the title screen is actually a scene of a level that comes up. I don't know which it is. It might be 24 or something pretty far down the line that either Panzer or Worf did. I don't actually know who it was. But there is a scene where you're actually fighting a cyber demon in this kind of pentagram setup. That said though, we're going to start a new game, and we're going to go to my level, and instead of, I don't have time to play all 32 levels, we're going to start a new game using ultraviolence, of course. Look very quickly at what Memento Mori 2 looks like. Let me kill everybody here as well as I can, so we actually have some time to look at this. This, as I mentioned, was a very late replacement, because the first map that initially was supposed to be here wasn't working out very well, and ultimately we made the decision to replace this map. The first map was found as one of the super secret levels. It was level 33 pretty much, as you downloaded the info pack. But all new music made by Mark Clam and David Shaw, that's correct. And we had a new status bar again. I actually made this status bar coming in, because Memento Mori 1 didn't have this. I said as an Easter egg I might be able to put my let's make sure my green screen works perfectly back here, to put my face right in the middle. That's something I didn't have time for. We can try it out real quickly here, just to see what that looks like. I'm not sure. Here we go. What does that look like? I think that's actually kind of cool. Let's do that for Memento Mori today, and let's see if I can actually stay in the middle of the screen right here. And let's move me just a little bit higher so that this looks kind of decent. I might do this at least for one level, because I think that's a kind of cool idea. And then we shall see how well that goes. So yes, I ended up making this this title bar. Worf, Thomas then came in and made it much better. He was the better artist than I was, but I came up with this kind of stretched skin and metal poking through aesthetic for it, making all of these new kind of metal looking numbers coming through and so on. So I think it looks kind of cool. It gives gives Memento Mori 2 its own little identity. But just by the way of introduction, this is how you started Memento Mori 2. And I would like to say that if you liked Doom back then, and this is how the game started out, you knew you were in for something cool. New Sky Dome, cool new ceiling right here, new replacement bar and so on, new music, everything. Okay, so it left 03. Here we go to the very first map that I made. And let's get started playing a little bit, and then I'll tell you a little bit how this map came about. There's a kind of interesting story here. I'm constantly checking myself. Oh, look, we already have some infighting going on. Perfect here. I'm constantly double checking myself, because the mind is a very peculiar thing, right? It likes to remember things in a romanticized form. But I'm pretty sure that this is true. The way that the beginning of this map, specifically this hallway right here, came about was by me dreaming about making this hallway. So I was sleeping and I was having one of these semi-lucid dreams, one of these dreams that you still remember certainly when you wake up, and I must have been dreaming about making Doom levels at that point. It doesn't happen very often, but I remember getting up and actually writing this down, and this initial part right here actually is inspired by, I think it was specifically these alcoves here with pinkies coming out, or you know, specters coming out and attacking me. And so this part right here is very much inspired by the dream that I had of me making this level. It doesn't go very long, right? As soon as we get to this first door, for example, I immediately started I started, yeah, deviating from the script, or I didn't actually remember this. But I think that's a cool way to remember this. I mentioned yesterday, you know, you always have some cool memories of making levels. There's always some sort of memory binding that mixes different memories, or you know, the retrieval cues of how we remember something. It might be music, it might be what was happening in our life, and so on. For me, this right here, it's definitely the memory that I was dreaming about this part. This door right here was, I think, a kind of cool way. I was always kind of bummed that the course wouldn't go up correctly, like together again, but it still had a kind of cool aesthetic to it. So I really like this map. If I had to go look back and talk about some of the most favorite maps I made, then I think this would be definitely on that list, because I feel that this was where I was really hitting my stride. You have to remember that, shoot this, oh, he came all the way around. I think this was the second map. I'm pretty sure actually this was the second map I made for Memento Mori 2. So I started out being given one map, which ended up being map 18. I'd released the Troopers Playground. I think it was good. Dennis could see this. He had a vacancy. Memento Mori 2 was already going at that point. Look at that. And by the way, let's make sure before I do anything else that we do another save here. There we go. So Memento Mori 2 was already going at that point, and they've been working on it, but people keep dropping in and out. Obviously this was a complete hobby project with people, you know, having life intervening or interfering with what they could and couldn't do. So I took over map 18 first. I don't exactly know when and that's the first map I ended up making. It's the last map we're going to look at today. Then afterwards I must have gotten map 3. And I don't know exactly how that ended up working out. And then as people kept peeling off, I ended up making map 14 with Thomas, and then map 10 at the very, very end. This was... Oh, hello there. Now, of course, if I'd played this, I think at this point I would have the double-barrel shotgun already. We're going to play this a lot with single-barrel shotgun, because I'm going to get Clef into every single level today and play it from scratch. But I think we will do fine. So the inspiration for this map, I think, very much came from, well, seeing some of the work that had already been done, specifically map 5 in Memento Mori 2. All of these maps just lived on it. We had a mailing list, right? And we had an FTP server somewhere where all of the finished work would reside, and you could go there, and some of the maps were done way earlier than some of the other maps. And going in there, and I think Paul Noble was the guy who made map 5. He had used some of these new textures which are part of this, specifically these green textures, to great effect in map 5. In fact, I think it was the first time these textures were used. So somewhat selfishly, I stole them and I introduced them in map 3 because I like the aesthetic a lot and I liked what I could do with these textures. So that's how a lot of this actually came about. Dreaming about the initial section and then working with the green aesthetic and kind of mixing that with this marble theme right here. So there's a whole story behind this in the like an actual like supposed in-game story behind this, right? Which we always wrote at the end. Although I must have come up with this just a little bit earlier because it's somewhat part of this level. If you look into the README file or you look into the actual info pack, you can find references. And the story is that there's some sort of pool of hell, like this bloody pool right here that demonic presence have been rising from, and your mission is to go in here and close this. And that's actually part of this is actually part of the mission progression, even though it's actually not required to finish this level. Alrighty, let's keep going here. But yeah, ultimately I really love this music. In fact, I remember downloading all the music, which was done very early, and then sending an email to Mark Clem, who made this music, asking, are these in the final order? you know, was just a what, and I went to map 3 and I heard this music and I freaking loved it, and I asked him, so is this the music my level is gonna have? And was really excited when he told me, yes, that's actually what it's going to sound like. Both Mark and David did really good work on the music. You can actually download the Memento Mori music as MP3s. I don't know exactly where. I'd have to look up the link again. But Mark, I think, remastered all of them using a new MIDI card, maybe some Roland card or whatever, and released them as MP3s. So if that's something that you like because you actually remember Memento Mori 2, I have it on my iPod, and every so often it comes up as a shuffle, or I just listen to it. So I'm working on, actually, as I'm working a lot of the kind of things that I work on today as a professional level designer, I love going back to, like, listening to the kind of music that I was listening to or that was playing doing my old stuff. So this right here, I don't think it was lost on you, I just wasn't talking about it. I like how you come back here and you realize you've just pretty much circled around going back to this scene right here, which has been reset, closed itself again, and you pretty much have to go through the same setup again. So this might be my favorite section in the entire level. This is something, you know, it's this little church section which starts transforming itself. This guy was already dead. Look at that. Let's save again, just so we don't... You can break this terribly if you play with a later Doom engine where you can jump, or maybe even you can look up. In fact, this entire level can be broken. I'll show you when we actually get there, because there's one switch very early on you have to hit by getting all the way on top so you can shoot at it, and in fact I just broke it here. Okay, so this is something where we actually are gonna go back, and this again is the peril of all of these new Doom mods, which I think ultimately are doing an incredibly good job of keeping Doom alive, but you were not able to hit the switch in stock Doom. I'm pretty damn sure of that. You actually had to wait, you had to go through this entire section to hit the switch so it would come up. And those are those little inconsistencies that make the level play just not maybe even necessarily worse, but not the way intended. What you're actually supposed to do is go into these crypt sections. These crypts are some textures that I made for Memento Mori 2, and again they might have been kind of scavenged and combined from, some of it might be Heretic, for example, that I turned into these little crypts. And the idea here with this church is that you go into the crypt, and you hit one switch. Let's do that first, and then you go to the other side as well. These tombstones are also in other levels. In fact, there's like a I made an actual tombstone that said "Rip Duck Nukem," which of course was, you know, really thinly disguised reference to Duke Nukem. Not because I disrespected that game. I actually think it's a really good game. It's just something that, as a Doom level designer, you kind of had to do. Just make a little bit of fun of. Oh, hello there. These guys started showing up, making fun of Duke Nukem a little bit. Anybody else who came out? I don't think so. Only those two guys. But, and I remember this. I make sure I don't die here, and I just died. Okay, let's go through this again. Luckily we saved pretty recently, but I actually knew these guys were gonna... You know what we're gonna do? We're gonna go this way, down this way first, and then we're gonna come back. But yeah, that pinky cornered me. I mean, that's their power, right? So this is in general, this is something I started doing in Memento Mori 2, and this is something that might be broken in something like Z-Doom, where you could only ever assign one specific function to a line def. And a line def might be something you walk over or something that you hit, like this button here, for example. So if I wanted to do two separate things, the way I actually did it was to put a line def, I make an alcove that's 24 units deep, because that's as deep as the player. Like if you actually go in there, you actually hit that line def. So there's a line def right here on this corner, and you could not hit the switch either because the line def in front of it was blocking it, at least in stock Doom. So the only way to hit the switch was to walk all the way in here, hitting the line def on the floor first, and then presumably immediately hitting the switch as well. And both of two separate things now would actually trigger. Now once again, I feel that's something that might be broken in modern Doom ports, and that's fine. It's something to be aware of when you're playing these maps, because, you know, we were hacking the hell out of it, just trying to make sure slightly misaligned, if you can see this on the stream. So let's go in here and find a secret. Just something to be aware of, because if you really want to play these levels in the spirit that they were made in, it's something you have to take into consideration. Now, of course, I knew that this guy was here. I knew that I was spawning him in. I just loved. Here we go. So you need to do 2 separate switches to make it go all the way up there. I loved refilling various parts of the level that you thought you already cleared, because that always created a little bit of visual interest. Always kept you a little bit on guard. Again, it's something that you can do very specifically in Doom, not necessarily in all of these. In modern games, because you don't have to explain this. This is more of an arcadey game, so guys just reappearing, monster closets and all that, like, their presence doesn't have to be motivated by anything. This is all just about entertaining the player and presenting him with cool combat. Okay, so obviously we've seen all of this, so let's take out these specters. There should have been a secret here, shouldn't there, if you walked up here quickly enough, but there is not. But let's be more aware of these pinkies right here and not get trapped again. Oh, that's right, and then I completely forgot about these guys. Well, it's good that my level is still keeping me on guard a little bit. And I think we'll be fine. We have lots of help here. I kind of regret that I cannot get the ammo. This is something I mentioned in another stream where I always try to make sure you could reach people who drop ammo. Obviously, I was lying because I'm not doing that right here. But you do get some ammo and some health here, so I think it's all good. Guys back here, and so now this elevator is all the way up, allowing us to go up here. Again, you could completely break this if you this is also, well, if you're good and not playing like I do, so you can get yourself some help. If you play this in a Doom mod, where you can shoot up, obviously, well, or the way that I just hit it. So somebody says you're pretty sure that you can press these things in vanilla Doom, the BDC. Neki also agrees. I don't think that's true everywhere. It's entirely possible that I'm misremembering some of them. I'm pretty damn sure you could not hit this switch. I am absolutely almost certain of that, because otherwise I feel the entire level progression would have been broken. But I could be wrong. I'm not gonna go back and check it out right now. Okay. But so the other, what I liked about it, the other nice transformation I like here is now this pentagram came up, and you know, this is pretty much us playing. Well, we're literally summoning demons right here. Now these levels, of course, don't necessarily have the hell kind of backstory that Doom 1 had, for example, or you know, it doesn't really try to play it summoning demons that much, but I think this is a nice little touch. If you're gonna have a whole bunch of guys coming in, this should come from somewhere, and this looks like somebody was literally planning the ritual. I just get hit pretty badly there as I'm talking about this, but yeah. So that gives us access, and it specifically gives us access to this right here. I'm not sure if that as a progression is actually all that obvious if you don't know what's going on there. Let's just go with it. Let's just pretend that we knew exactly what was going on there, and that we got to leave the church again. Now, because I do need some help, I do remember there was a secret somewhere here, and well, I think I remember there was a secret here. This one, I think, which doesn't have, if you're looking really carefully, doesn't have a light. Unfortunately, there's no health in here, only some ammo. Still better than nothing. And so, level circling back on itself. These are ultimately the kind of things I love about 3D environment, where you build a spatial map and you start realizing how, oh, okay, I remember this room, I remember this landmark. Hey, look, there's a double-barreled shotgun. And hey, look, there's some health down here, which I'm actually going to go and pick up. understanding, even without looking at the map, which of course, you know, has a lot of that detail in it, understanding how the entire level actually works and finding out how it connects. So let's go down here first. Hey, there's the yellow key, something that we just saw as a door. So let's try to get this. And then I will not miss something that I think was driving a lot of people crazy in the progressions in this level. So I see a lot of people, even these days, I've watched like a couple of just let's play or speedruns of this level. Not speedrun because people didn't, in these let's plays people didn't actually know what was going on. But where people missed this as a progression. So you can see that I brought some of my levels from Trooper's Playground over, like these flats, for example, on the floor. So I have the yellow key now, and I could go in here. Before I do this, though, I'm going to do something else, which is important, and this is where the level becomes a little bit of a... Well, it's a two-pronged affair, and you don't necessarily know that when you're playing it, what exactly is going on. Actually, there's a switch down here, and this switch is pretty damn visible when you're over there, but it's very easy to forget when you're up here. So you're actually supposed to drop down, hit this switch, which not only gives us a double-barrel shotgun, which is something I want, but also gives us access to this part of the map. I can play now. See a whole bunch of people there gathered in some sort of demonic incantation. This is the gate of hell that I'm talking about in the readme, where people are rising from the... So pretty much the forces of hell coming. See, oh, you know what, I just got the double-barrel shotgun. Ouch, let's celebrate that. Double-barrel shotgun. 2 shots just exactly in the face of a Cacodemon, and we are set. And let's make sure on this ammo here. Okay, perfect. But yeah, so this is one part of the level, where you have to open this. And this is how you close. Again, this is one of these switches that you have to go into. Hey look, this is how we are closing up the gate of hell. Just as importantly though, we are getting the red key. Now, how do we actually get up there so we can use the red key? Well, that's where we go back to our yellow key door and hit a switch where we saw at the very, very beginning. And again, I don't expect people to get all of this. Some of this I don't think has to all be noticeable. Some of it should, some of it doesn't have to be. You know, if you know what's going on, you've played it a few times. So this was interesting because I think everybody missed it. So here we have one of these gates that were not easy to do in Doom, in stock Doom, as I think I told you, and you cannot actually shoot people through this. But the idea was you would go in here, all of a sudden people have appeared behind you, and you have no idea where they came from, and now as you're hitting the switch, all of a sudden they're all coming out and start attacking you. But I feel I might have to actually point this out to you. I always get a feeling of Hellraiser when I see this kind of stuff. I wasn't really inspired by that, but you know, it does have a certain Hellraiser aesthetic to it, especially for these guys right here. The guys were still twitching. So here we made our way all the way back to the beginning of this level. We're pretty close to the beginning, but now we can actually go up into this little hallway right here. Cross over. There's a spectre in here that I didn't even notice. I'm not sure how well you can see those on the screen, because they're damn near invisible even to me. But so what this does... There's another guy there. Where is he? There we go. So what this actually does is get me all the way to the beginning. If we're looking at the map, down there is where I started, right? And this switch, which you might have missed when you were actually coming through, the switch you can now shoot, which creates a teleporter, which gets me to the red key door. And hey look, some guys who weren't there before spawned to give me just a little bit of interest. So yeah, all of this is a little bit convoluted, but I think it's also really cool, you know, so the jury's out as to if it's too convoluted and it should have been a little bit more obvious to people. But that's how this level progression plays out. Now I'm wondering why I did not, because everything else has been a kind of blood aesthetic in here. I actually put slime in here. I think this was really just purely for visual interest. I added this towards the end. The fact that you can actually, you could probably fall in there and die, even though, yeah, I'm not gonna do that. Yeah. If this had been my own level pack, I might actually have turned some of these guys into Barons of Hell, but for Memento Mori we actually did have a monster rollout, so I was limited and restricted to which kind of monsters I could use this early on in the game, which was smart and totally made sense, but it might have been a Baron of Hell in Ultra Violence, honestly. If you're comparing this to the difficulty that I'm throwing at you in Trooper's Playground, you might see how that would have matched up a little bit more. So that's End Hell Beneath, and I got 80% 4 out of 5 of the secrets. That's not too bad, actually. Looking at my track record that I usually had. There we go. So, let's go and look at some things on the chat and see what people are saying. Alrighty. So I'm just looking at pretty much everything that's been said on the stream. I'm really happy that so many people showed up, you know, for New Year's Eve. Thank you so much. And I hope as you're watching this later, you know, maybe you're watching in 2015, you're watching it as an archive, you're getting a kick out of this as well. But yeah, so I don't know, I actually haven't been watching that much. I think I'm going to move myself back to the corner. I hope it's worked out pretty well having me over the Doom head. But yeah. Hey, John joined us on the stream. That is awesome. Hey. Yeah, so this is a great look back. Thank you so much for joining, and thanks for making the game that we're still playing and talking about right now. This is, I mean, it's awesome to go back. We talked about it a little bit. This has very much shaped me as a level designer, and being able to go back to this is really cool. So let's move me back over here, because as cool as this is, I might want to move myself back to the side here and make myself maybe a little bit bigger. Hello everybody. Alrighty. So going back, I'm going to do another It Clef, and we're going to go to map 10. Because as I mentioned, we don't necessarily have time to play all of Memento Mori. There's also a map that I picked up very late, because I think somebody dropped out and we needed this. I don't think it's the most inspired. It's the most inspired map I ever made. What I think I like about this map, though, it's called Regulate, by the way, because it does have this kind of slime aesthetic to it. I think it's supposed to be you going into... this is actually the deathmatch portion of the map, by the way. If you play deathmatch, a whole bunch of stuff opens up and turns it into a pretty uninspired deathmatch map, I might say. But this is supposed to be some sort of waste disposal kind of plan or whatever. Now, the reason why I like people joining us today on New Year's Eve, you know, before you go out to a party, or, you know, maybe even instead of a party, is because I didn't really have a social life back then. I made a lot of these things late at night, while I was also still in university, yes, but, you know, just instead of hanging out with friends, because I just loved it so much. I just loved making maps. And I specifically remember this map. This must have been in August 1996. I was making this map while the Olympic Games in Atlanta were going on. And I in fact made big parts of this map while the opening ceremony in Atlanta was going on. Now you have to remember, I was in Germany, so everything, like as far as the time difference is concerned, everything that was happening in America during the afternoon or even the evening was happening late at night in Germany. So I was up at like 2 or 3 in the morning watching the Olympic Games and the opening ceremony. While I was making this game, I was making this map, and I'm not really even making excuses for it, right? I mean, let's be honest. When you're in your early, like in your teens or your early 20s and so on, you're always having questions as to where's this going. At this point, I had not figured out yet that I could make games for a living. That didn't really enter my thinking. I think way until 1997 or so, 1998. I made Beyond Belief for Quake. And obviously, you know, hanging out with people on IRC who slowly started getting hired at Valve, at Ritual, at Ironstorm. And I realized, wait a second, maybe this is in the cards for me, but even then it took a while to realize that, you know, I could actually move to America and do all of this. So all of this was purely made out of fun. And if you're doing something like this, late at night, yeah, just watching something, of course, I mean, I think you have to have a lot of passion. And, you know, I hope that shows through in all of these maps. Even if this one, as I mentioned, I don't think it's the most inspired one, but it's certainly one that I still like going back to. Something that was really cool back then, by the way, is that people at id Software and people at Ironstorm would actually answer their email. So I remember sending one email to John Romero about seeing if they still had need for level designers. This was before Retro ultimately ended up hiring me. And, you know, they didn't have a space, but he replied, and he actually came back to me and told me, no, sorry, we're all full. And that was just half of the battle, right? That was pretty much half of just understanding that that might be in the cards, being acknowledged, knowing that this might actually be a valid career path. Something that was huge. Yeah, American McGee was really good about replying as well. So whenever you had a, not whenever, it's not like he was your oracle that you could go to, but I remember sending him 1 or 2 questions about Quake mapping, and he actually got back to me on that as well. So just the accessibility was awesome. And here we are, like almost 20 years later, and we're able to look back at this and just talk about how it influenced a lot of games. Okay, so let me save here, because I might die. I don't want to die. Let's make sure we don't have to play too much. Oh, and of course, maybe I should not have, especially... Oh, and this is where we might be very much screwed, because I'm doing my id-clef thing, and I don't even have the... I mean, this is the perfect domain of a... of the minigun, right? And of course, there's no way for me to get that right now. Like with all those Caco demons, you want to keep these guys in pain forever, so they can't actually shoot at you. Of course I don't have that, and of course I'm at 18%. So let's see if I can set myself up a little bit more. Instead of getting down to 15, I should have stayed at 18%, but let's see if I can set myself up a little bit better. Oh no, I didn't realize, I thought the switch actually made this come down. I think I might be screwed here, guys. I will strafe my best and take out these guys. Hope that they slowly, because I can't even focus on one guy. Hope that these guys die before I run out of shotgun ammo. Uh-oh, let's see. Okay, okay. Let's get out, let's get out, let's get out. Uh-oh. I can do this. I think at this point you might even have the rocket launcher if you play Memento Mori, not from scratch, but hey, we survived. And it's one of the things I love about Doom, right, where it really always feels like you're in complete control of your own destiny. If you're good, you can survive everything. And that's the kind of just like low-level systemic agency, or just agency in general, that you get out of these kind of games. If you are watching this, is this a secret? No, it's just badly aligned. Interesting. Might be the first aligned texture I really found. If you are looking into this meaningful choice talk that I advertised, oh, look at that. Well, now we know. When I talk about Doom, and I will show the link again at the end of the stream. I talk about some other games that do what I think Doom does as well in terms of prioritization choice, and in terms of like giving the player the feeling that they are in complete control, have complete mastery over this game. And the kind of games, the kind of examples I use in there are all very similar. Like Batman Arkham Asylum is one of them, for example. It also gives you this feeling that no matter how many groups, how many members there are in a group of enemies, you can always throw yourself into those and take out everybody, if you're good. And it doesn't matter if it's 10 guys or if it's 30 guys. Ultimately, if you're good, you can survive. And I feel like that right there, still talking about me actually taking down all these Caco demons with not much more than a pistol. Uh-oh, damn it. Was a perfect example of that. Now, I don't know if the stream is really all as exciting by me just using a pistol, taking everybody down here. We will try to pick ourselves up here. There's some ammo for the shotgun down there, for example. But yeah, so we'll see if we can figure something out. Hey look, this actually is a secret. Awesome. No, I'm feeling much better about myself. Safe right here. So as I mentioned, all of this, I don't want to say this level was phoned in. I think it looks okay. But it was very much, it was the last map I had to make for Memento Mori. It was a pickup, right? Like somebody had dropped out, we needed this map. So I'm just saying it's not necessarily inspired. I remember making this and trying to kind of hunt it out or just kind of finish it so we could ship Memento Mori 2 and be done with this. So that's why I don't necessarily fondly remember the act of making this map. I think it probably holds up. Some people might actually really like it. As I mentioned yesterday, I turned a little bit into Gandalf from Lord of the Rings. Like, I have no memory of this place. And that I don't even remember making a lot of this. I just know that I must have been watching the Olympic Games as I was working on this stuff. Hopefully, you know, and that's... I don't think it feels like it's phoned in. That's ultimately what I'm rediscovering after all these years. And I think what this does is exactly that here and there over there. So let's just bring it down. I thought this might be timed. So let's just run over here and get us our key. Oh yes, 3 remnants with only a single barrel shotgun. Oh. Yeah, that was not good, guys. Let's try again. I can do this better. At least you're watching somebody who really has to work for his money. I can't phone it in. I mentioned some of the streams earlier where I think, oh come on, this is I'm saying it, I'm immediately screwing up again. But it was a little bit easier. Like if you're I feel that if you are a really seasoned and experienced Doom player, you know what? I'm gonna throw these guys out to here. Oh, except that I did not realize I spawned a whole bunch of people. Here, if you're a really seasoned Doom player, it's actually possible to make Doom look too easy. Because you're pretty much just sidestepping every single attack and every single missile that's coming at you. You know the shot patterns. You're not seeing this right here. First of all, I'm not sure I'm at my best here playing. But I'm certainly also really having to work. Where's he going? Wow. We took a lot of health right there. So it would be nice to actually have that rocket launcher so I could use it right now. And there's number 3. And I'm almost down to 0 ammo again, but hey. We survived. Oh, good. I did not even... As I said, I don't necessarily remember my levels, so finding that secret right there was a very welcome surprise, and that was just kind of an off chance. See if I can get some infighting going here, so I don't have to take all these guys out myself, but no, I'm just gonna get shot in the freaking face. And here we go. I guess I made it out of this reasonably. Oh! Come on. Die. Nice. In reasonably good shape. Okay, let's save again. So, the whole regulate, you know, maybe it does feel like you're in some sort of waste disposal facility. Maybe not. We're certainly going to keep that theme alive as we're going into this next section. That's why I'm bringing it up again. It should be over here. Preserve some ammo here if we can, especially from this far away. I talked about this in the other stream. Okay, I need to pick it up a little bit here because this guy's taking me out. I love even though there's just one new weapon in here, the double barrel shotgun, I really like, oh come on, I really like the additions that Doom 2 made to the weapons and the enemies. Putting that machine gunner in there, for example, to just add a little bit more differentiation to the hit scan guys, being able to put him all the way in the back, giving him a higher priority than the sergeants and the lieutenants, like the shotgun guys and the pistol guys, is huge. Because, you know, like as I'm looking in here and I'm looking at all of these enemies in this room, that's the guy I need to take care of first. He's kind of screwed me up right here, as I'm sure you guys have noticed. But it allows you to go in and prioritize in ways that just didn't exist in Doom 1. Also probably means I should take care of this guy. There we go. So yeah, the whole waste disposal, you know, so in a way it is a little bit of a themed level, which I didn't do that many. You know, a lot of them are just somewhat meaningless dungeons, they're space base or something like this. This, you know, this is how the sludge flows in this part of the Memento Mori 2 world. There's something to that, it's kind of cool. Spectre, almost catching me off guard. So I cannot quite get up here. Or at least it has to step in here, which is good. This is gonna be a pain in the ass. Okay, here he is already. Because that pain elemental, oh, that's two actually, because I'm playing in playing ultraviolence, of course. This again, like, and you know, and this is where we might want to make for level 14 some concessions and actually pick up some weapons ahead of time in some shape or form. This pain elemental is the you want to have the minigun for this, right? You want to have the chain gun for these guys to keep him in pain so you cannot spit all of these skulls at you. Not having it is like, I mean, you immediately notice it's hurting me immediately. I want this gun, I'm pining for it right now. That's the mark of really good systems design, of really good interconnections between what the enemies demand of you and the means in which you can actually you know, deal with them, like the weapons in this case. So here's a doomed trooper who tried to retrieve this blue key at some point, and because this is the way that we do stuff, let's, I guess he just got slurped up, he got sucked up. You can see how this plant is running again. Now, I'm not sure if this is actually visible to anybody who's playing the game without me explaining it. Probably not, but that's the idea behind it, right? And to find the key now, I had this gun the entire time, didn't I? Or maybe this is the first time I'm actually getting the minigun? See, I'm completely confused now. I don't think I had it before. See, now the sludge is flowing again, which is cool. And hey, let's turn that off and bring it down, and that's where the Doom Trooper ended up. Perfect. Okay. Feeling so much better about my chances right now. Not sure exactly about the texture choices here, but you know, that's where Doom is somewhat forgiving. I'm going from a high-tech theme to a, yeah, wood and metal panel feel theme. Let's pick out our blue key. We certainly earned it. And I mentioned this before in one of the streams, you know, a lot of what level design, especially in these kind of games, is flow control. It's creating, kind of creating individual goals as you're going through this level. So it's sometimes hard to actually keep track of all of these doors we had before, but this idea that as soon as I come into this level I see the blue door and finally have the blue key, you know, that's really the feeling that we're trying to create here. And then that was a little bit of a dick move by me, the level designer, to immediately have all of these guys attack you. But hey, I'm gonna survive. And of course this is where all of the sludge goes. And I think this section, so for one, I know that there's a sphere up there, like a 200 sphere, and I'm trying to remember how I get up there. This entire section was inspired by level 12, which is already done at this point. Level 11, sorry. It's already done, so I could play the beginning of the next level, and it actually starts out with this kind of sensibility, with these textures, and with slime. Look at that, so that's good. This might be, well, it's probably not the first time you see one of these guys, certainly the first time you've seen it in one of my levels here. And without the double-barreled shotgun in this tiny space, let's see what I can do. But yeah, so as we're looking at the beginning of level 11, as soon as I'm done with this, you're gonna see that there actually is. Oh man, I am embarrassed for myself there. I like how these floors are actually adding, like they are putting a little bit of a twist on the way you're playing this. Because, you know, I have to be careful. In fact, I lost a lot of health here again. Let's save anyway and kind of paint ourselves in a corner here. Because you cannot just circle strafe this guy, you actually have to. Oh man. Let's see if I can do this. 3%. I think this is definitely going to help me. But there's lots of sludge down there. Oh, pain elemental. 2 pain elementals again. Okay, let's see if and how I can actually... Oh wow. Okay. I don't even know... I think this is part of the setup right here. Anyway, to finish the thought, I really like how you can create this systemic, consistent possibility space, which, you know, is Doom combat, and then every so often, as a level designer, it's not just your job to MacGyver those systems, but it's your job to then assemble all of these systems into ever new interesting combinations, which is the weapon, the combat design here, but then also finding ways in which, through the level design, the spatial design, like this right here, you're putting a little bit of a twist on how the game actually plays. And I think that works. That's not something I was actually considering when I made this level back then, by the way. That's just something I'm figuring out now, 20 years later. But I think it's a great example of how a good level designer can kind of take the 30 seconds of fun inherent in a good action game and add a twist to it. And by doing so, then keep the game interesting for the next, you know, 10, 12, 20 hours. Concentrate here, so I do not have to play all of this again. I'm doing okay here. Okay, nice. Let's save again here. So the idea is that, and I don't actually know exactly how it works, but so this is where all the sludge goes, obviously. Somebody just... Okay, somebody got me from all the way over there, I believe. And he actually killed me from all the way over there. Well, luckily we just saved, so this is certainly hard as. If I had, I might even have the plasma gun at this point. I cannot guarantee exactly what the weapon progression is in Memento Mori 2. I do not remember it that well, but there might be a whole bunch of ways in which I would have been able to play this a little bit more efficiently. Oh well, working hard for my money. One thing that I'm noticing now, we'll look at the final tally here. This is actually a pretty big map, isn't it? I've been playing this for easily 25 minutes or so. We shall find out very soon. So I guess this is how sludge is actually processed. Okay, so this is how I come back. Just real quick, this is something I remember. The reason why this teleporting pad looks different from the ones down there is because, again, in Doom you could not actually align floors. They were always on a 64 by 64 grid. So this texture right here was actually offset by 32 pixel increments. So we were using this, and I just ran out of my protective suit, but I think we'll be fine. So we were using this whenever the grid was actually off by 32, and this is how I can tell that this is not actually on 64 by 64 grid right here. So let's run down here and do this, and see if I can survive this. Oh dear. So this map, so I don't remember, I did not find the secret to get me the mega sphere. The blue orb. I don't actually know what the official name is. Blue sphere certainly describes it well. Because there was a secret for that. Again, that's now part of level design as well, especially in games like Doom, making the player want something, planting various seeds as to creating certain desires as to where you want to go. And I remember this blue orb. I did not actually find it, so I'm just going to go in here and exit the level. So that was fun in a way. As I mentioned, I don't necessarily have fond memories of making this level, but it actually turned out pretty well. And, well, this level actually felt longer. I think I've played some of the other levels which actually felt like they took longer to play. So it's interesting. Now, as we go to level 11, we go from clear for death, and I think clear for death just my way of putting a reference in there for that sludge waste disposal theme that we had. Let's go to the next one. And as you see, and we didn't really do this a lot, right? Should have done it more maybe. As we're going into level 11 now, it looks exactly like the end of level 10. So that was the idea behind this whole aesthetic. So I want to go to level 14, and you know what? We're gonna play it from scratch again maybe, and see how well I can do. So this is, again, I think this is my second favorite map after map 3 for Memento Mori 2, if not everything I made. And this is a collaboration with Thomas Möller, with Vorpalak, or Worf. This was probably before level 10, but again, somebody probably dropped out, just didn't have a level 14 coming together. And we were hanging out on IRC a lot back then, right? Like what our Twitter is today in a way, certainly was IRC back then. I know IRC is still very much alive, but just to give you an idea. And I had this idea, why don't we make this map together? And that's also why this map has a very specific layout, because we kind of needed to make sure that we would not step on each other's feet if we were making this. So this has a backbone right down the middle, this map, which guides you all the way through. And then there are doors, 4 doors, and 4 individual areas, which might as well be mini levels leading off to the side, which allow you to progress along this backbone. So I made a quick, I think it was a really bad painting program, something I got with my graphics card. It wasn't even Deluxe Paint. Not sure why actually, because I was using Deluxe Paint at that point. But I made a quick just sketch of that, like telling Thomas how we could lay out this entire map. I started by making this entry area, which he actually added a little bit of detail to in the end. So I made all of this. I made everything going through this door, and I told him, okay, so we only have 3 keys, and we pretty much want to make the entire level progression here along the lines of you have to, you know, find the key to progress. So for this one, let's put a key in the middle and make 2 switches which allow access to the blue key, and then afterwards we're going to put a red key door and a yellow key door to the left and right, and well, actually left and right, like right ahead, and then we're going to make 2 more switches or 2 more areas on each side that allow you to retrieve those keys. So that's what this map is going to be like. Let me actually go back to the stream real quick and see if there's anything that I completely missed on the chat, because I'm actually having way too much fun, so it's cool to just kind of get caught up, but let's see if there's anything on here. So let's see if there's anything on here. So Neki asks, did the auto-aim work on shootable line devs? I'm pretty sure it didn't back in stock Doom, but it might today. And again, we'll have to go back for map 3 and see exactly how things actually worked or didn't work out. But yeah. Doom guy impression. So, Eat at Me DVE says real life is over Doom maps or not. Not back then. University definitely was smaller than Doom maps. You know, it went a little bit down. So I ultimately dropped out of college to move to Dallas, Texas to work professionally as a game developer. So yeah. University in real life certainly took a back seat to making these Doom maps. Okay, so let's just kind of keep going through here. And let's play more of this. So I will let you guess, if you want to, who made which area, and then when I'm done with these 2 areas I'm going to tell you who made which one. I don't even remember which area on which side is mine. Well, I just looked at it and I think now I know. Let's go down this direction first. And so again, this again is like, I'm pretty much doing a pistol run for this entire level, which, because it's my level, might be fine, but it leads to a whole bunch of dead space in the middle where I have to barely, you know, like contend with enemies with a pistol. That's an interesting setup right here. So now I can get back out. Let's try to preserve some ammo here. So I should be able to get through this entire thing. Out of pistol ammo again. Or out of shotgun ammo again. That must be secret. Yes, that's a nice secret to find early on. Let's save right here. Okay, so here's one switch. You know, leads us back. Is there any way to get over here? We don't know. Looks like there's something behind there. There's got to be a way. Is there a way to actually... Hey, look at that. Just looking at the map, pretty much, you're able to find this stuff. And now let's hit the switch. Now I'm pretty sure I remember what happens here, and there's a... Okay, so that does something. That's definitely good level design right here. Like, we talked a lot, I've talked a lot in previous streams about how terrible we were back then of communicating what had happened, how bad we were at communicating affordance, of delineating visually a door that could be opened by a switch and a door that you had to, that had to be opened by a switch and a door that you could just open by using the use key and so on. And of course a lot of anonymous switches. Obviously something happened here, you know, and that's one of the ways in which you could always give the player some feedback on the fact that what he just or she just did had actually an effect. But this good level design even for today. Show the effects of an action. Always show the effects of an action. Like here, for example, being able to look into this room. Ow, that was not good. At least I'm getting tons of ammo out of this. So being able to see the effects right here, good level design practice to follow, even today when you're making stuff. I want this as well. Get to 50 shotgun ammo. I'm gonna save again here. Oh, another guy. Not really as much worried about 100%ing this, but I want to make sure that I might get 100% enemies at the end of here. Okay, so that's one part of the puzzle. Now let's go to the other side of this map. Find some health, which I very much like. Oh, and content with a couple of revenants that I tried to kind of get around by running right at it until I saw the pinkies coming at me. But again, I mention this again, and if you read this GDC talk, this is a perfect example of, I love good combat. One of the hallmarks of good combat is reprioritization. Forming a plan of attack, starting to execute on it, and then actually realizing that you have to improvise and you have to change your plan. And keep kind of being stuck in that loop. Of improvising. In fact, Clint Hawking did an entire GDC talk on this called Improvisational Play, where he talks about this in the context of Far Cry 2, which is something that I might tweet at some point just to for you to find. It very much looks into exactly these kind of well, that player psychology and how that makes things interesting. There's nothing worse than a cover shooter or a shooter. It doesn't have to, could be a first-person shooter as well, in where how you attack enemies does not make a difference. I call this the checkpoint test, right? Where if you were to die at a part of the game, do you mind replaying this game again, this part of the game again, or does it feel like, oh man, now I have to do this again because you're just going to kill the guys again and you don't have an opinion in it, or do you feel like, okay, I don't mind doing that because there's actually a way in which I can optimize the encounter. There's a different way. I have a different tactic already. And that's something that all comes out of this kind of improvisational play. Dead Space 2 is really good at that. Doom is really good at it. I certainly strive for these kind of moments in the games that I'm working on. As we're looking at Dead Space 2, which will be towards the end of this stream, of course. So let's look at this real quick. You can see how I'm revealing the key now. But as we're looking at Dead Space 2 at the end of this, I'm going to point that out, like these kind of behaviors again, to give you an idea what I mean. But if you're looking for a reason why people still play Doom 2 today, and honestly why I feel people don't necessarily play Doom 2 today, Doom 3 anymore today, It's this. It's the fact that it's still fun to go into these levels and try to optimize your behavior and try to, well, not optimize, but feel like you always are in complete control over these combat encounters, and they're still fun because you feel like you're the reason that you did well or did not do well, as opposed to a bad game in which you're just kind of popping up and shooting people in a random order because it doesn't make a difference anyway. You notice how this guy right here is a different skull head? Let's use him and see what happens when I use this key, this switch. I don't actually know what the switch does. That's the bad part. I knew there was a secret there. I actually remember that, and I don't know what actually happened. Generally, I really like this this area right here. I like both areas. This is the area I made. The green area is the one that Thomas worked on. What I worked on really hard is again a kind of transforming space that kept contextualizing it, right, as I kept going through this and kept revealing more and more of itself. Maybe up here? No, let's find where the secret actually was. Kept you on your toes and looked completely different when you're done with it than it looked like when you started going, started playing this room. So we know what happened here. That's actually awesome. I found a good secret. Very happy about that. And now let's pick up our blue key that we now got by doing both of these areas. Let's see if there's any more ammo I can pick up back here. I'm pretty sure I scavenged it 100%, but I would very much like, I very much like to be as well equipped as possible going forward. So this was the first part, so I built this backbone and we both filled in these areas. I think, I don't remember if I did this area first and then Thomas went into this area or not. Might not have been. Then I started building this again. And then again, I will let you decide which area might be Worf's, Thomas Müller's area, and which one was my area as we're going up here. Nice. Wow, that was unnecessary. And again, that's what I love about Doom. I feel that I am to blame. I am 100% to blame for being shot there. That was not the game's fault. It never is the game's fault. It's always me not playing as well as I could have. So that's a nice secret right there. I would love to find that. Let's keep that in mind. And you know what? If I had been smarter back then, we'd been smarter. I think we actually would have made it in such a way that you could see that you need both the red key and the yellow key. Because I think there's a yellow door behind this immediately. But, you know, to telegraph to the player as much as possible what's actually going on here. But we did not. But that's okay. Let's just keep going here and find those two keys. Let's find the red key first. I mentioned this earlier. I know that blood does not hurt me in this level, but it was maddeningly inconsistent in all of Doom, right? Because level designers were able to specify how much damage a sector gave you, and it was completely inconsistent in when slime actually gave you damage. Lava pretty much always gave you damage. Sometimes blood did as well, though, and that's something that you always had to just kind of feel out. So once again, this, I can tell you, in the level editor, this teleporter right here is off the grid by 32. That's okay. You know what I'm going to do now? I'm going to abandon this area, and I'm going to do the other area first, because I do remember this level well enough. This level, by the way, is called A Question of Time, and that's because just like we made the story up at the end, we finally had to come up with a name for it. And I'm a huge Depeche Mode fan. Was back then, still am today. And at some point I just started using lyrics, or song names. And then I think the story that we kind of made up around this is that you have to get to the end of this map as quickly as possible. But yeah, I remember this level very well because I just liked it so much, so I played it quite a bit as well. And there's fewer surprises in this map for me, although I'm probably not going to find all secrets again, but there's fewer surprises in this level than might be in some other. Again, I feel through the magic of Z-Doom, we can actually walk through these guys and walk under them. I feel in Stock Doom you were hitting some sort of invisible collision barrier here, which was not great. But yeah. What's this do? It's pretty much the famous last words in every single Doom level, right? I wonder what this switch does. Alrighty. I feel I'm making good progress in this level because it actually is compartmentalized really well, right? It actually has a progression to it, just in the way that the level is laid out, using the keys and colored doors. Again, this of course is something that you have to work at in more modern games. You cannot just put skull, like red and blue and yellow skull keys in your game and then try to gate the player that way and create a progression. You have to work a little bit harder at it, but it is possible. You just have to contextualize it better and actually weave it into the world, into the story, and yeah, work at it. So there's another switch over there, I'm assuming, and yep. So going through here, I'm assuming I'm gonna go. Hello there. That was a complete dick move. I forgot about that. That was really cool, actually. It's very much... Oh my god, I'm gonna die here, and I'm not. Oh, let's see if I can survive this. But you know, I mean, you could only do this with really seasoned Doom players and really seasoned Doom level designers as well, right? That kind of misdirection that happened right there. Opening a trap room next to you and then having the actual enemies coming from the opposite direction. That's pretty nice. And yeah, I completely forgot about this. Luckily I have enough health back and I survived this, but I thought that was cool. Okay, so now we can actually go down here and... Interesting, that's a cool progression that, again, I'd kind of forgotten about. Hello there, Revenants. Let's see if I can... I don't want to take them all the way out from back here, and I don't have a rocket launcher, so let's see if I can get some well-placed shots in here and then run all the way back. With a double-barrel shotgun, I might actually try to dance in front of them and then try to take them out that way, because I feel it's 2.5 of those double-barrel shotgun shots. Oh, that was not good. With a single barrel shotgun, I'm gonna snipe them from the back and lose a little bit of health in the process, but hey, I'm still alive. So yeah, I mentioned this earlier, and I might as well say now. So this was the part of the map I made, and Thomas made the blood-themed marble part of the level we're gonna go to later. I mentioned earlier how, like, as I was looking at Trooper's Playground, how I feel like my level design sensibilities in terms of just detail, level of detail that goes into these maps. This door opens, oh my god, once again, terrible affordance, right? That opens, this one opens, that one doesn't, and they look exactly the same. But yeah, I feel like when you're looking at the level of detail in these maps, I don't think they progressed that much. When I started making Doom maps in 95, or 96, that had been well established, and there was a general baseline for how good, which guy was I working? I think it's the guy in the background. I hate that. I think now I'm gonna work away at both of them while one of them is almost dead and the other guy is not. I should only have to worry about one of them, but I completely switched them up in my mind. Okay, but yeah, I feel like the detail level that we had at this point in Doom levels was pretty much at the same standard that it was going to be at the entire time. And I like I think these are interesting spaces. They have a little bit of visual interest, right? They're not just rectangular rooms, so if there are some ways in which, you know, there's just a little bit of visual interest, either on the floors, on the ceilings, and so on. Just looking back at this, I think this actually looks pretty cool. Nice. Definitely working for my money here. I don't know if this is obvious or not. I feel like I have to put so much more effort into playing the game. I'm not sure how good my commentary is, or the commentary that I'm able to do right now. It might be lagging or lacking every so often, because I'm concentrating pretty hard on actually playing this game. Which is a skill that you have to acquire in the first place. If you're doing professional game development, for example, and you're doing team meetings where you are Hey, look, there's actually flickering on these lights. If you're doing team meetings, you every so often want to show off your game, right? You want to show it off to the team, and you want to show off something that your team has achieved, for example. There's a real skill to being able to play the game while also talking about what you have been doing. And actually doing both at the same time is not easy. It's also a real skill, by the way, to play these levels well. I'm just playing the way I would play right now. I am just twirling around like crazy, jerking around my mouse in an effort not to die and so on. If you actually want to do a demo playthrough for your team or maybe for the press and so on, there's a very specific skill set, and not that many people have it, where you play the game not just well, but you play it in a way that really registers well to anybody who's looking along. And people actually can find themselves. This is I don't know if this is a secret or I just did not pick the right texture here. So to actually play the game in a way that entertains people and people can follow along and actually know what's going on, but also see how cool this part of the level is, that's a real skill. So we actually have a few, let's see if I can get some infighting here. So I don't have to take out all of these guys. So we have the masters of that, right? And we try to kind of circle them out. But we have guys who are dedicated in team meetings to playing our game, so that people can really see the game in its best light. Because I mean that's the magic and that's the power of the medium games, right? That you are able to create your own player story, and because you're playing it, you really feel that what is happening on the screen is really cool. Oh look, secret, awesome, is really cool to you, but because you're the one playing it, and you know exactly what's going on in your mind and which state of mind you were in. Look at that guy. Can I get him? There we go. Because you know what kind of state of mind you were in while you were playing, it might not necessarily register as well for other people, and you might have to do some running commentary. Uh-oh. Oh no. Matthias, I hate you, and I did not save. I hate myself. Oh. Sorry guys. That's where I get carried away. Let's see. I can get there again and then prepare a little bit better for this. But yeah, so player stories, you know, are hugely personal. And that's where games are so much more hugely personal than watching a movie, because ultimately we're all going to feel the same thing, we want to see exactly the same thing. Very different from, you know, oh my god, sorry, which is very different. That's the difference between movies and games. I apologize, I'm going to try to focus on this for just a second. That's why Twitch is so interesting to me as well. You know, we actually have arrived at the point where people like watching other people play games, where let's play videos on YouTube are huge. I'm going to save a lot now. But I think it takes a rare skill, and this is where, like, good let's play, that's a skill that good let's play guys really have. It's letting you participate in what's going on the screen. And I am playing terribly. I apologize again. I'm trying to take out these guys first. And I hope that's coming across a little bit in this stream. That's certainly something that you should keep in mind as you're trying to compare this medium to other media, like movies, for example. Okay, big rant. This is actually something I talked about in somewhat extensive detail at the GDC as well in 2013 and 2012. Kind of throw this in right here. So I think if we're going back to Doom, I think as a game, Doom is actually really good at that. In that, because of the enemy design, because of prioritization choice, and so on, it's possible for you to have an opinion on the encounters. And as you're watching me play, you're probably having a whole bunch of thoughts on how I should be playing, how you would have played, how well I'm doing, how I could have done better. So let's see if I can actually make it through here. I have this feeling that with the Archvile in the mix, so let's see if I can get rid of this guy, or maybe somehow take him out ahead of time. Let's see if I can actually finish this without dying. I feel that this is where a pistol run on ultra violence on a level that I haven't played for quite a while might just be a little bit too much. Oh yeah, he first immediately Even, you know what, if I'd been smart... Oh, and I cannot even... There's no way to escape. Oh, I can go around here. At 1%. Let's see if I can actually do this. But I have this feeling that I'm really making life difficult for me here. Okay, so far so good. 1%. Can we take out this Mancubus without dying? Be careful here that I do not collide with those skulls and die because I circle straight right into one of them. Okay, you know what? We're going to do a different save. Just in case I shafted myself by only having 1 health left here. And you know what? The reason why I wanted to do this part first is because I actually knew that... Oh god, I hate myself. Well, I hate 21-year-old or 20-year-old myself. But yeah, hey, we got the yellow key. Which is, you know, again, that's where having done the doors upstairs would have been a little bit cleverly, would have been nice, because now I'm getting the yellow key, and as a uninitiated player, I might not even know what it's for, because I have not seen the yellow door yet. Have we figured out what the Mancubus is actually saying? I don't think we ever got an answer to that on the stream. Maybe if John is still here, he can actually tell us. Because it seems like he's saying something, but I'm not sure what it is. Okay, so far so good, except that, yeah. So you know what I'm gonna do? In the interest of the stream, I'm gonna try to do this part once. And if I manage to do it, awesome. If not, I'm gonna IDDQD myself once just to get myself back to 100 health at least. Because, yeah. Look at that. Okay, I'm gonna give it one more shot because that was a little bit too cheap. But let's see. Let's see if I can make this. I just want to make sure. And look, he's stuck. I want to make sure that, like, you know, with the double-barreled shotgun, for example, these guys are so much easier to defeat. I mean, that's the whole... Let's go back here, because that's... I think I telefracked the guy, which is nice. But, I mean, I just opened the gates of hell, right? And I just screwed myself by saving over my second save game. Oh, God. Yeah. I actually remember this scene as just thinking that, you know what, this might be a little bit too difficult. And, I think I actually took some monsters out, and then as Thomas started working on this section here again, he put them back in because he wanted it to be this difficult, which is fine. It's just that QD and IDDQD go back out. Let's at least do this, yes? And I am tempted to do an IDKFA, guys, because I don't think I can. I'm gonna do it. I wussed out. Let it be known that this is the part of the stream where I completely wussed out, gave myself everything, but I just figure you're gonna see how difficult it's gonna be for me, even with all weapons here, to make it through here. I feel like the pistol run here might just be a little bit too advanced. See, already back at... I already lost like 50% health doing this, completely and fully equipped. Now I'm gonna refrain from using some of them. I'm probably not gonna use the plasma gun and stuff, or maybe a little bit later. But I think this is just gonna. It's also gonna allow us to just appreciate a little bit more what this level has to offer, because I'm actually able to play these encounters. Ouch! I'm able to play these encounters in the way that they were intended, in a way, because I'm not trying to pistol kill a Baron of Hell. Oh, Hell Knight. Oh, look at that. I would have been completely screwed here without the cheats, I feel. That's my story, I'm sticking to it. So, I think this is a really cool part of the level, but it is incredibly hard. Look, I'm down to 34% again. on health at least. I still have quite a bit of armor left. And it doesn't get easier, I remember that. I will tell you right now, this part does not get easier. This is incredibly... And, yeah, I don't even think... Let's actually take these guys out now, because... you know, that's going to take forever. So, let's take out the guys up there at least. Doing this releases stuff. Seen that. You know, I want to splurge a little bit now. Let's do it, I'm sure. Oh, and I just lost a lot of health anyway. I know I would have had the plasma gun at this point. Let's see, where did the Revenant go? Revenant, where did you go? Save again, and see, did I kill him? I guess I got him. He just kind of got stuck behind the plasma. There's another guy. Yay. Well, one guy, of course, if you're an experienced Doom player and you have a double-barreled shotgun, is not a big deal, because you can dance around him, circle strafe the hell out of him, and kill him that way. But still. Okay, so this gets me up here, and I think I have to shoot this. And now I come back down, and let's see what happened. Nothing yet. Let me go up here. Step up some health. Nice. Second one. Oh, I did not mean to use... Okay, I have 100 ammo anyway, because I PDK evade the hell out of my play. As a level progression, I think this is a really cool setup here. Now, let's see if these guys are going to come back up. See if I can auto-aim all the way down there. But yeah, this part of the level, as cool as it is, just an onslaught. But hey, we made it. Awesome. Feeling good about myself. What about you guys? I think this actually worked out pretty well. Okay, so let's go over here and pick up some stuff. This side as well. And then there's a teleporter up here, which I wasn't even aware of. You know, that's just what happens with Doom. Oh, where the... Oh, I did not even notice that guy at all. Is there a guy on this side too? Yeah. Interesting. Is that a secret? No. At least not on this side. Oh, come on. Okay, I'm not going to try the other side either. So let's use the teleporter. He said. Immediately falling down. Let's use the teleporter. And that then finally gets us back to what we saw at the very beginning. Oh, and I kind of broke the progression here. And that... You see how I say like it's just an onslaught? This is like 2 pain elementals on top of everything I just went through. It's like this is on Casali Brothers level. This is on Milo or Dario Casali Brothers level. Like in terms of the amount of people that are being thrown at you. Now, if you don't know them, which I'm sure you do, both Milo and Dario were incredible level designers in their own right, from England. They made an entire, I think this was for, was it, what was the Doom that, Final Doom? Was it in Final Doom? They made an entire episode for that one. Contributed to Memento Mori 2 as well. Dario very much is alive in the game industry. He has been at Valve ever since 1997 or 98 and has been working on everything from Half-Life 1 to Half-Life 2 and everything else they've worked on pretty much. Milo, from what I understand, did not join the industry. I think he stayed in... Oops, I did not mean to do that because I did not completely finish this part. But I think he did not enter the game industry and he's doing something else. Now that might have changed recently. I just remember talking to Dario about it when I went to Valve like a few years ago and just catching up on old times and talking about what his brother was up to. Under the impression he was doing something different. Anyway, that's just kind of a little aside. There's quite a few people, like Thomas Stain, who was one of the awesome, well, founders and awesome level designers at Retro, who's doing his own company right now, Escalation Studios, contributed to this. There's probably a bunch of other people. Ika did not work on this, Ika Kuranen, but he did work a lot on, of course, on his own levels and then on Requiem. He went to Iron Storm, and Then I don't know what he did afterwards. Immediately ended up at Valve as well. Has been there ever since. Been doing awesome stuff. There's a lot of people who made these kind of levels who are working in the game industry today. Oh, hello there. You see how this just keeps coming and coming? I'm not even sure I want to kill these guys. I will, for completeness sake. But yeah, I'm gonna do it from down here. So yeah, Doom created a lot of level designers who created a lot of game developers, pretty much. Quake itself created tons of level designers as well. That's ultimately when everybody ended up being hired. Because that was that time in 1997 when, well, Ironstorm was founded. That was a big deal, of course. But there were a whole bunch of people making, forming their own companies and working on Quake engine games. Unreal had not been out quite yet, although it did come out soon. Well, it took a little while longer. But so there was a huge dearth at that point, or a huge demand really for level designers, and anybody who could make Doom and Quake maps who was active in those scenes was then able to transition immediately to be hired at these companies. Ironstorm, Ritual, id Software itself, of course, Cave Dog up in Seattle, who unfortunately never shipped their game, Valve. All of those companies needed level designers, and all these level designers trained making Doom and Quake levels. And that's how somebody like me, who never actually had a job in Germany, that is true, I never actually filed my taxes in Germany, for example. I wouldn't even know how to, because I went from high school. Oh, and what is the secret? I would love that secret, but I do not remember easily how to get there. It's got to be a teleport, I don't remember. But so yeah, I graduated from high school, and you know, like, you actually have 13 years in high school, so I was 19 when I graduated in Germany. Started going into college, university. That was one of those Trojan horse guys that you only put in there to wake up everybody else in this section of the map. So I started studying, studied German and biology. Most biology, the German was kind of on the side, but kept making these maps, and then ultimately abandoned my studies to become a level designer, professional level designer. So the only job I've ever had, which I think is pretty awesome, I mean, that's a pretty good way to live life, is a professional level and game designer. I think you do have to reinvent yourself every so often. You know, there were times in my career when I wasn't actually a level designer. I did technical art, I've been programming quite a bit. So, you know, being well-rounded that way is awesome, but yeah, you can make a career with this, and I've been incredibly blessed to be able to do that, and this right here is the reason. So this is the final version, like, this is the backbone of the map again, you know, oh man, what I called it. Final area of this map, and I have nobody but myself to blame for dying here, because I created this part again. It's not necessarily the most inspired part of the map, but I wanted just a little bit of a way to finish the level instead of just running out to the exit. I feel like after putting these doors in here, I am completely shafting myself. I'm not playing well right here. I could have much more help right now. Just feels after having 2 doors with keys here, you should not simply put an exit behind it. There should just be a little bit that the player can work at. Let's try this. And I could, of course, just bypass these guys, but that's not how we roll. Not on my stream, not when we play Doom. Can I actually... am I not hurting these guys? Okay, I can do this. I already cheated in this level. I'm not gonna whip out of these guys. Okay, that was easier than the last time. Let's take some health, of course, once again. And that's this level. So, once again, lots of good memories. I think it works really well. I think one of the power, this took 33 minutes, that's pretty awesome to me. I think one of the power of this level is that people could not actually tell who made which part of this level. Like, people were constantly speculating as to who made which part of the level. The same is true for for Requiem level 7, where I took over a map halfway through. But I think that's really how a level works out well, right? I think the styles that Thomas and I had complemented each other very well, and we were able to pull it all together in a way that makes one consistent level. So let's go back and look at the stream where John is talking a little bit as well, dropping some knowledge, which is awesome. If you have not checked it out, by the way, John tweeted, and I think it was on his Facebook page, a whole bunch of cool behind the scenes stuff from Doom, like 21st birthday. It's old enough to drink now in America. In Germany you drink when you're 16, but there's a whole bunch of really cool behind the scenes stuff, like old sketches and the old models that were made to create the enemies and so on. So that's definitely something to figure out. The blue orb is called Soul Sphere, I guess. There we go. So let's see if there's anything here that I immediately want to kind of address on the stream. Probably not that much. Yeah, just people talking about the weapon and Doom design, the weapon and enemy design working really well together, which is definitely true. So here's something I'm going to do for the next stream. I want to do another pistol one, but I'm going to play it on a lower difficulty level. Just because playing level 18 in Memento Mori 2, which is kind of a pain in the ass anyway, as a pistol run, let's cut ourselves a tiny bit of slack and actually keep the stream interesting enough so I don't have to cheat again. And we'll see if that actually works out. So this is the first map I made for Memento Mori 2. This was me getting enough recognition, making the Cooper's Playground. And Dennis asking me to make a map for Memento Mori 2. Jesus, that was difficult. Look, I'm already out of ammo. Not a good start to the level now, is it? But yeah, this is then the first map that I actually got to make, and I put a lot of effort into this because, you know, I wanted to prove to these people that I felt, you know, my map belonged to what these awesome level designers were making. And a bunch of levels were already on the FTP server, so you could see what people were making. I was very much inspired, and this was what I made then. I feel it's probably my least favorite, or second to least favorite Memento Mori 2 map, just because it was still somewhat early. But it has some cool stuff in it. So number one, as you come in here, I mean, this should, you know, we'll see if this actually works for you. This is what happens if you run forward. The idea was just to scare the player a little bit into thinking, oh my god, how am I going to fight all of these people, but then giving him an out by telefragging pretty much every single guy. But this is actually going to come back into play a little bit later. Oh, and, well, there you hear him. You hear the archfire? Well, he's gonna come back. You know what? I'm gonna try to play this, but I did not, there we go. I did not play this well from the beginning. Let's try to do this a little bit better. Let's do something I normally don't do. Let's actually ignore these guys. Come back to them later. Actually save ammo, because, you know, pistol run. Save ourselves right here, and go through this. Out. So again, this is why I feel this is good level design even today. Show me the door, show me how I open the door, right? Create an immediate connection. People might look at the map now, wonder how do I get over there, and you start tracking what you can do in this map, and you start filing away the different ways in which you might attack the map, or, you know, in which way you might traverse the map. So let's take these guys out. So this map has a little bit of a theme to it. If you're looking into the info pack or just the readme of this, once again, there's a little bit of a there's a story to this where I think you're actually trying to find Ken Builderman, which was my play on Ken Silverman, who made the awesome build engine, which was powering Duke Nukem 3D forever. Duke Nukem 3D, for example, not forever. And there are protective suits in here, protective clothing, and I don't know if we must have made this for Memento Mori 2. I don't think there actually was a sign like that, but you want to go and you actually want to find the protective clothing later, because that's going to help you progress on the level. So the entire, and you know, this is only in the README really, but I think the entire, screw you, and now I'm pretty much out of, good job, I found some health here. The entire story behind this level is that the power is out, and that's why you have all of these doors which are halfway stuck, like the one to the protective clothing we just saw. Hope I can take this guy out before I die. And you try to restore power to this entire facility, and when you do that, you'll be able to come back here and actually make progress. So everything I've done here just now is actually all set up for later, and that might not be a good way to play this map, because I'm doing a pistol run and I should have preserved as much ammo as possible for when I need it. This right here is just a little side room, kind of interesting though. This is about as far as I ever went to creating some sort of, you know, computer console or something, trying to do actual visual storytelling or giving a sense of purpose to these kind of rooms. But you know, I guess that works well enough. So let's save again. But yeah, so everything we just did is actually not pertinent to the way that the... That's not true, I guess I opened this door. Okay, never mind. See, I don't know my own level progression anymore. I thought I could have gone down here immediately, but that's not the case. And again, as I mentioned, like if we had been smart back then, we would have made a specific door, maybe with a sign or so, for every single door that had to be opened via a trigger or a switch or whatever. And we would have made a specific door for anything that could be opened by hand. So all of this advertises itself to the player without actually having to run up to the door and using it and doing trial and error. But you know, I mean, we've just gained in sophistication on this kind of stuff as an industry, and these days, yeah, of course. You know, in my games, there's no way I wouldn't do this, but back then, it wasn't even expected, and because of that, you know, the games didn't necessarily have it. So this is the first area that I built for this map. I remember putting a lot of work into this. It doesn't look like much, right? But I remember I'd just gotten the Memento Mori 2 job, and I was very excited. I wanted to show to everybody that I was, you know, I belonged, and that I, you know, they had placed their faith in me rightfully. And so I made this section and uploaded it to the FTP server as soon as it was done, showing people that, hey, look what I can make. And you know, it's not really much better than anything else we've seen so far, but to me it was incredibly exciting. And I remember this chap specifically, that's why I'm running away. It was incredibly exciting to actually be chosen to be working on this, because it was validation. It was validation for the fact that what I'd made with Troopers Playground was good and people liked playing it. And yeah, that, you know, I could keep going with this, and all the hard work I'd put into stuff was actually paying off on some level. You have to remember, this was, oh my god, I can't believe I actually got hit by that fireball. This was still early on somewhat, you know, internet. This was 96, we only had use groups. We had Usenet groups and, you know, mailing lists and IRC, but and then of course email, but actually discussion groups and getting lots of feedback on this. It's not like somebody, you would release something and immediately people would tweet at you. I can't believe I ran into that one too. I gotta be careful here, especially because I'm missing people now. It's not like tons of people all of a sudden are tweeting at you immediately and giving you some sort of instant feedback, right? Like you created something, you put it out into the world, and that was it. And then you waited, or, well, it's not even that you waited, but you know, every so often feedback started trickling in. What I did for Beyond Belief, which was my Quake episode, my Quake, yeah, entire like replacement for the first episode of Quake, I asked people to send me a postcard if they liked it. I put my address in the over down here. Yeah, well, I can stand on guys. And I encouraged them to send me a postcard from wherever they were playing this. my levels, and that was really cool because I got a whole bunch of cool postcards from parts of the world, you know, that I'd never been to. Also helped me a lot then to get my visa later, because to get an O1 visa, which is what I got to be able to join the developers at Ritual, you had to prove that you were somebody who had extraordinary abilities in his given field. That was pretty much the description, right? And that means that you could be incredibly academic, or you could be really good at making levels. But how do you prove that? How do you actually tell somebody at the Department of Homeland Security, or the INS, which it was still back then, that you're a really good level designer when the profession hasn't really been around for a long time, and the people who are evaluating there don't necessarily even know what Doom is and might never have played it. So this one actually, I think that your affordancy again is terrible, because how would you know this is a Switch? So I had a whole bunch of people write me letters of recommendation, like various people in the industry, as well as other people. Yost Schur, for example, who was the curator at cdrom.com, where all of these levels were. So they wrote pretty much convincing people that, hey, this guy really knows what he's doing. But then we were also able to submit these postcards that I got to actually tell people at the INS, yep, this guy is worthy of a O1 visa. Still took like 8 months, I want to say. This was before 9/11, so imagine what it would take today. But yeah, that's how ultimately then did get feedback. And I still have a lot of these postcards, and I still have all of these letters somewhere here. We discovered them just like less than a year ago, I think. And yeah, I think I even tweeted some of them. It's pretty cool to see. Why, hello there. Okay, so yeah, I mean, as a map, you know, I'm just kind of playing it, talking. I'm pretty much reminiscing of the times. That's usually a sign that the level itself is not engaging me a lot. I'm enjoying this and I'm playing along, but I'm not finding tons of stuff where I immediately go, oh my god, this is awesome, I have to talk about it. Gives you kind of an idea really what I think about this map, right? I think it's a good level, I like it, but it's not a level that like 18 years later makes me just go, oh my god, look at this is really cool, and oh my god, I can't believe how clever this was. Just something that kind of goes along. It does have this like sludge theme again, where we see the barrels and we see a little bit of a hello there. See a little bit of the flow of the sludge through this level. Oh my god, I should not have run into that. And as soon as I start talking too much, as you can tell, I'm actually doing worse. But yeah, I think it's an entirely agreeable level. You have some things here, like this is how the barrels make it down to the courtyard and so on, but ultimately, you know, it's fine. It's fine. It does not inspire me greatly. Okay, so let's get rid of this guy again. Ten shots with the... I'm not actually counting right now. Usually when I'm just playing, I would actually probably mentally count, but because I'm talking, I think it's pretty much impossible mentally to talk and count at the same time. Usually when I play Doom, I would literally like count the shots, because I know it's 10 shots with the single barrel shotgun and 10 shots with the double barrel shotgun. And that way you could also know when it would be okay to be backed in a corner, because you know you're almost ready to take out the guy anyway. And when this is where the keyboard was a little bit biting me in the ass. It was not on my movement key. But you would pretty much know at what point you were worried about your life and at what point you were just kind of okay, because you knew the next shot would kill the guy anyway. Okay, got some infighting here. That's what I've kind of been wanting to do the entire time here anyway. These guys take care of each other, and now get rid of the Mancubus. Okay, John is taking off, I see on the stream. Thank you so much for joining. And you guys, thanks for still sticking with us. This is a lot of fun. Okay, so I see... Well, I guess I'll have to waste one shot to get my plasma gun, but having the plasma gun is pretty cool. I say this, by the way, if you ever run into John Romero and his wife, Brenda, they are the nicest people and the most knowledgeable people in game design you will ever meet. So if you ever meet them at a party or something like that, strike up a conversation, you will not regret it. Incredibly bright and smart. Like Gwenda's game design lectures are always the highlight of GDC, and John knows more about game design than a lot of people have forgotten. So that's something, if you ever get to do, is something you should take advantage of. Okay, we are going to finish this level now though, instead of talking about GDC parties and other things that are not Doom. I completely forgot, by the way, I had the double-barrel shotgun for a lot of this. Or maybe I wasn't paying attention and I just picked it up. I'm just kind of playing. One of the bugs I hate about Doom, it still happens, every so often you see me rushing into a door, because if somebody dies right under the door and he drops his weapon there, that weapon would disappear. We already talked about the zombie bug, I think in yesterday's stream, right, where you could actually create zombies with an archvile, like this Jib here for example. This guy, if he got resurrected by an archvile, he would not be killable unless he used splash damage. But this was another one of those bugs that were really annoying in Doom, and I think never was fixed, where you could actually lose ammo to a door, which was it's something, it's one of my huge pet peeves even today. If you're working on a game today and you want to be in my good graces, make sure that whenever you have an enemy that has some sort of ammo or health or anything I want to pick up, money, make sure that if you have to despawn them for performance reasons, that they leave behind a lockbox, that they leave behind whatever they dropped. If you don't do that, you're robbing me, and as a player I'm going to be pissed very, very quickly. Let's see what happens right here. There's a couple of games, I'm not going to name them, but there's a couple of recent games that, you know, I'm even playing through that do this, and that's really annoying. BioShock had it right, for example, where, yes, you had to respawn guys, we understand that, but they left behind a lockbox, and after you kill a guy, you actually got your reward for killing those guys, right? In Dead Space 2, we made sure, because you had to stomp corpses to actually get what they were dropping, right? Which I think is freaking brilliant. I don't even claim credit for it, I had nothing to do with it, it's just brilliant. But we made sure that if we had to despawn one of those dead bodies, they would leave behind what they were going to drop, so that the player would not lose what they had worked for. It's not as big of a deal in Doom, because you only every so often lose like 1 or 2 ammo. But in a game like Dead Space, it's actually imperative, you know, BioShock 2, I'm assuming, it's imperative to actually keep the balancing of the level alive, because you kind of need to know how much health the player is going to get and how much ammo the player is going to get. And if you just kill somebody, or if you just despawn somebody and take what he was going to drop, you're completely debalancing the entire level at that point. Okay, so here we go. So this entire theme of me wanting to, you see how I did it first in map 18 and then I did it in map 10 later. This whole theme of wanting to turn on the power, this is the power generator, right? Now, would it have been nice to actually have some signage for this? To have any sort of, you know, like explanation as to what you've been doing? Yes, of course, but we weren't thinking about that back then. We just made these maps. But the idea is that as I'm stepping into this panel here, everything is on. You can actually hear how power is being generated in the backdrop here, which is not a sound, because you couldn't really do environment sounds in Doom, right? So these are actually movers in the backdrop, constantly going up and down to create this kind of sound that gives you some feedback as to the fact that the power is actually on now. But yeah, so, you know, there's a little bit of rhyme and reason to this level, it's just not necessarily apparent, and in modern games we would work really hard that through the environmental storytelling, not just cheap somebody tells you, but environmental storytelling, all of this would be much, much clearer. We might do objectives as well, but I never like objectives that tell a player to do something that the player should kind of be able to glean from the environment in the first place. I think this was one specific texture where these are individual sectors, like there and there and there and there and there. That's just the texture aligned again and again and again to create this kind of blinking light. But yeah, so we turn on the power, which is cool. Now we should backtrack. And again, because there's no easy communication of the fact that this is going on, what's actually happened now is that these doors that were only half open earlier are now completely open. And, you know, in Doom you would probably just backtrack now, because that's the only thing you can do, and find out that, hey, this is what actually happened. But of course, you know, that's not something I want to do. So this door is open, for example, right? And now I can get the red key. Let's save again just to be sure, because I'm sure there's two of these guys here. Oh, ow, ow, ow. In like good level design, we actually want to make all of this much more apparent to the player. So just backtracking because that's all you can do is always bad. The player never feels like they're playing intentionally. They are following a path that has been laid out by the level designer ahead of time, and the fact that the level designer did this actually becomes very apparent. Like, you're kind of revealing your presence as the level designer, which, you know, especially in like modern games that are trying to tell a real story or trying to have some sort of internal consistency and logic to their world, I think is not good. Like, designers, just like good visual effects, good design should always be 100% invisible. And the fact that I made this level, even though ultimately I'm kind of talking to you through what I'm doing here, that's where my GDC talk, talking to the player, is, you know, is talking about this to a certain degree. You should never really think about me as I'm making this level. Now, maybe in these old levels, during these old times, that might have been a little bit different, just purely because, you know, it was more of a arcade kind of personality-driven, not personality-driven, but obviously, you know, a level designer made this for you. And obviously this is an add-on level, and obviously we're incredibly thin on backstory in the first place, so, you know, it's a little bit easier. Like, this contract between player and designer might be a little bit more apparent, where somebody made something for you to enjoy and play. But, and this is just pure philosophy for me, in modern games this is something that I don't want. I want to be as invisible as possible in my levels and in the games that I'm creating. So this right here is a room. So this is where I can actually use the red key. Yes. Let's save here again. Let's see if I missed anything. I don't think I did. No. This is of course what we saw very early on. So this is where now you might have a hint of recognition and realize, oh, wait a second, I saw this way earlier. I remember seeing the red key or the red switch. Ideally I would have done something up here to mark the area up there really well, as to kind of create this connection. But hey, better than nothing. And so this is now, if I'm not careful, I'm actually gonna, you know what, I'm actually gonna run with this. Quite literally, I'm gonna run away by running with this. This is where what happened early on is supposed to pay off now, because now we have an arch vial in the area where I just spawned, like telefrag, a whole bunch of incredibly dangerous monsters, and he's on the loose. And if I don't take him out immediately, he's gonna resurrect all of those people, all of these monsters. And, well, he got 2 out of 4. That's actually pretty bad already, right? That's why I think the Archvile as an enemy archetype is so powerful. And, you know, if this works well, like, you know, you get some really nice link backs, and you can actually influence player behavior, right? You can actually create oh shit moments for the player that are purely emerging from the systems of the game, even though you as the level designer obviously set it up. So, you know what? Protective clothing is required in this area. So that's something I should actually heed as advice. And I'm going to show you why. I'm actually pretty low on health right here, on ammo right here, so let me take these guys out just a minute. So this is where I was trying to do something that doesn't come easy in Doom, and that was set up level progression. Oh, dick! Did not even see that guy. Level progression that was not, or level gating that was not contingent on gates, or sorry, on key doors. So the idea here was, it's just a little link back. I'm gonna show you just because, you know, you could not cross this without dying. If you jump in here, you're gonna die. You could theoretically, probably, maybe, I'm not even sure if I scripted it or not, try to go around it, but this is too high. And so you want to find protective clothing, and then you actually want to go down this area over here, I'm assuming, because I don't remember 100%, and raise the sludge. So now I think about it, maybe it actually is gated, so you can't go up there, but I think the idea behind it, the spirit, was that you kind of had to use, like the slime was actually keeping you from going through here. So here we have 4 suits, because this was supposed to be fully multiplayer co-op friendly. I talked about it in TTP in map 3. I actually have a similar situation where I only have one of these things. Ideally, you actually would have them respawn so that the player cannot run out of like life-sustaining protective suit, because you can pretty much screw yourself, you know, especially if you save after this over your save game. But you know, at least you have 4 of them, and in single player I could go back now and get another one, which is pretty good for me. Okay. So I just remembered that I created this entire section. I know now that this section exists, but I'd forgotten about all of this. So I think this was the section where I pretty much just wanted the level to be over. I needed to make sure that with the setup, because none of this was necessarily planned out all the way from the beginning, I had a key area, and I wanted to make sure that I did not just phone it in and have like a really short area where you immediately pick up another key. So I was... oh, hello there. This was one of those areas where I just kind of just plowing through it and trying to finish building as long as possible. You know, just as quickly as possible, sorry, to just kind of create something that was, you know, that made the level complete. There's the blue key. I think this is similar to what I stole a lot of this in level 10 then. You can tell how once again we have this kind of theme of having to flush out the key. You see how I kind of did that earlier. This was the original version of that. Quick look at the clock. I think we're going to go a little bit over. Yes, we're a little bit over our 2-hour limit today, and that is fine. I would love to finish this. This is the last level, and then we're done. So actually, let's do the other switch here as well. And let's see exactly what that does, because I don't even know. But I think we're going to be done pretty quickly. And I'm looking at the stream, so I think Neki, for example, he's going to have New Year in less than 50 minutes or so. So thank you so much for... Is that true? I think so, yeah. It's going to be a 3 for you guys here. So thank you so much for sticking with us. For making this your stream of choice. So that's where the blue key ended up. I think that's a little bit... That's a little bit esoteric, yes. Not necessarily great, but hey, we found it. Do I have any rockets? No, let's just do the normal double shotgun with this guy. Okay, so this gives us the blue key. It gives us not enough. So yeah, this obviously you can make it back for you. Never mind then. But even so. Let me get another protective suit just to go over there. So you know what? I can. It's a little bit of a walk, but let me just get one real quick here. So I don't actually make it up there yet because, yes, I got the blue key and I need to use the blue key first. That is correct. Oh, look at that. Oh, I can't believe that ball hit me. Again, my own fault, right? I'm not blaming the game for it. Just, barely. I like these kind of things where guys are rising out of the lava or out of the slime or whatever. I do that a lot. Well, not a lot, but I do it specifically in Requiem map 4 as well, which we will get to at some point. I lost a lot of health here, way too much health really. And that's something you have to set up as well. You have to kind of create an incomplete sector, right? An incomplete sector to actually make that work, where the flow would then keep spilling over into the next sector. It's pretty basic stuff, really, by level design standards, but you know, I had to put a little bit of work into it. And you're glitching the engine, right? You are not you're abusing the engine to get a specific effect. Here, more guys. So this connects. Now that I see this, so nice. So I love these kind of connections. Right, like now knowing I was up here, now I'm back here. This texture over there is misaligned though, I see, so could have done better there. But yeah, these kind of connections are cool, where you pretty much go back and you discover something that you saw way earlier. And you can also, on the map, pretty much create one complete picture of what this environment looks like. So this gives me the yellow key, which we saw from all the way up there. I'd kind of forgotten about it already. Yes. Now usually, and I don't even remember, whenever you did this, something spawned. And, oh my god, yes, with announcement. Isn't it nice how predictable Doom, or at least Doom level aesthetics are? And this now is going to let me exit almost. Not quite. I know there's one more area here, which I put here at the end. Now, if I remember correctly, there was actually a way to get here to a secret, to that, but I don't necessarily remember now. There was actually a way. See up there, that? You know what? Screw it. Let's just do this quickly, because we're almost done. I'm pretty sure. And let's find that soul orb. Is that what it was called? So we're all the way back here. And I'm actually not going the right way. To show you. Let's go all the way back to the outside. And all the way out here. If this doesn't work out, I'm gonna have egg on my face. But I'm pretty sure there was a secret here. So you know this area, which was just like this arachnotron, that's like his little Doom guy. I thought there was a secret somewhere here. If you're looking at this on the map, right, you see how this immediately lines up? Oh no, and unfortunately, I don't actually know how that worked out. Damn it. Thwarted by my own level. Okay, screw it. I think it was worth it, even though I do have egg on my face now. This is where you need to go back to Memento Mori and you have to play it and you have to actually figure out how this works. Right, that was my brilliant way of encouraging you to actually play these levels. If you believe that, good for you. But that's totally where I just did this. Let's go in here so we can circle strafe a little bit. And these guys. Ah yes, and in fact I think this has a 30-second trigger on it, so I could not leave immediately. Now of course it's not as important for us right here, because we're not going on to the next level, but you know, finding that soul orb right there. You see how there's gotta be a connection somewhere in the back. But I'm not going to find this now. I'm going to leave it as an exercise for the reader. I'm going to wait until I can go into this teleporter right here, and I am going to finish my last Memento Mori map. Awesome. And with that, we're done. See how many secrets I actually found. Obviously not 100%, 50%. Took me almost half an hour again. Gives us a pretty good idea as to how big these levels were. But yes, this is Memento Mori, and I think this was doomed for me. I have made this decision that instead of moving on to Requiem, because we've played so much Doom recently, I'm going to move on to Quake next. And I don't know exactly when that's going to be yet, but I want to play Beyond Belief. I want to move on to what happened after Requiem. I'm going to go back to Requiem and play it at some point, right? We're going to do that as some sort of bonus episode at some point. But for now, I want to be done with Doom. This was a lot of fun, lots of memories right here. I hope you enjoyed this as well. I hope you will join me looking back at my levels. So it's probably going to be Doom. We're done with Doom. It's probably going to be Quake, and then I might look at Sin first, then I might look at the Unreal Mission Pack and Wheel of Time somewhere in that corner. But I will, before I ultimately get to Dead Space 2, which are the levels I want to kind of do as the final level design stream, I'm going to go back to Doom. I'm going to talk about Requiem a little bit and kind of complete the picture as to how all of this worked out. So, let's turn down the music here and let's just go back to the stream one more time to see if there's anything that I missed or that I would love to talk about. Let's go over here. A lot of people just talking about Doom level design, which is cool. Like, just the fact that people are still making Doom levels today is pretty awesome, and that people still have an opinion on this. It's also absolutely awesome that this many people joined me on New Year's Eve, and you know, this is how you're spending your day or evening, so thank you. So let's go through here. And let's see, there's a bunch of stuff in here. People talking amongst themselves. People uploading one of John's autographs so you can print it out. That's pretty cool. And let's see if there's anything here we should talk about. So if you guys have any questions or comments, I'm happy to talk about them at the end of this. But yeah, ghosts, not zombies. I think they were zombies. They felt like zombies to me, like somebody talking about the talking about the bug where you could create. I guess I saw them as zombies. They look more like ghosts in Z-Doom, where they actually added alpha blending, right? Where it feels like these guys actually, they take on a ghostly shape, but yeah. Watching this stream makes me want to try Doom mapping again, says Homestar 2084, which I think is awesome if that's what we achieved here. I hope that your handle, the 2084, is inspired by Robotron, by the way, because it should be whenever you're using that specific year. Which actually, if you're looking at my my GDC talk, I'm not specifically talking about it in that, but it actually has a lot of similarities as well when it comes to prioritization choice and what I'm talking about here. Let's actually bring that up again one more time. So as we're looking at this is what it looks like, so you should download these slides. If you're much more interested in much more detail on how I feel Doom works and how game design in general works, you should download these slides and the way that you do that. Or you can watch it, because the video of me talking about this is actually online. So you could also go either to my Twitter, where it's MWORCH, that's my handle, @MVorch. So I actually tweeted the link here, or you could go to the GDC vault and actually watch. This right here is the link, and I hope you can actually see that. If not, one thing I can do is make it much bigger, and I'm actually going to post that, if you give me just a second here, into a notepad window. Let me just open something up here. And on top of the Memento Mori 2 README, I shall put this link, as well as the link to my Dropbox as well. So I'm going to leave this up right here. I'm going to make this sorry, did not mean to do word wrap so much as I wanted to give you a big enough font so you can clearly see where you can go. But yes, so let's go back and see if there's anything else. Requiem was kind of like Doom catching up to Quake, is what Dusam says. I actually agree with that. That's why I don't have incredibly fond memories of Requiem. I think it's an incredibly good level pack, and I liked making levels for it, but it was very much me just kind of trying to get through finishing up, right? Like I ended up making 4 levels, really 3.5 levels, and one of them came back from TTP and so on. But yeah, I was very much ready to go to Quake at that point. Thanks for the stream. Is there an ETA, a rough ETA for the next streams already? The trap. I don't know exactly yet. I would love to do Quake before most of us go back to work after this weekend. So I'll have to figure out. I have a big family. I have a wife who needs a lot of attention, and you know, just I want to spend time with her. I have 3 kids, and they need a lot of attention. I want to spend time with them as well. So I don't just want to do another stream immediately tomorrow. I'm going to figure it out. Maybe if we're lucky, we'll be able to do it on the weekend, for example. And I will update my Twitch Twitch waiting stream screen, so you can see the actual dates on there, and I will tweet it as well. So if you follow me, you will definitely know when the next streams are going to happen. And yeah, that's pretty much it. Again, thank you guys so much for joining. Thank you so much for our special surprise guest. And I hope I see you again as I'm going through Quake and the next few levels. And have a happy new year. And in German we would say einen guten Rutsch ins neue Jahr, which literally means a good slide into the new year. We still have a few hours here, but in Germany you always watch the sketch show Dinner for One, which I will watch on YouTube later tonight. If you don't have anything to do right now, you should go and, hey, let's actually try to do this on Chrome. Let's put this on top here real quick, and let's see if we can find what I'm talking about here. Dinner for One. This is... Yes, you have to watch this. This is pretty much quintessential German watching. I'm not going to stream it now. I don't actually know how this works out as far as copyright goes and so on, but this is the quintessential German sketch you watch on New Year's, and it is, even after all of these years, still incredibly funny. So I hope you do that, and I hope you have a great slide into the new year. I'll see you in 2015.